The White House worked overtime today to dispel any idea that it was easing pressure on Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, releasing a statement that the U.S. wants an orderly transition in Egypt that is, quote, prompt, meaningful, peaceful, and legitimate. Meanwhile, in Cairo, the biggest show of public protest so far, hundreds of thousands of Egyptians overflowed Liberation Square today. Terry Moran is there. Terry?
It's an astonishing thing to witness, Cynthia. It's alive, it's new, and it's beautiful. Somehow the protests here caught a second wind, and the Egyptian revolution, because that's what this is changing not just the politics of this country or the politics of this region. It's changing the very lives and identities of the people who are participating in it. You might say they're inventing a new way of being an Egyptian, even a new way of being an Arab, and they know it.
This is revolution, a father and his son, and in their laughter is the new fact of freedom here. So many children are here. Their parents bring them into the square, into the crowds, to be part of it, part of the birth of a new era, their era.
When she grows up, we will tell her that she was here and helped the regime to fall.
This was the biggest day of protests in Egypt yet. An enormous crowd thronged downtown Cairo. And we entered Liberation Square.
This is a peaceful, festive, huge crowd here today, and it's diverse. You've got little old ladies, you've got bandaged young veterans of the protest movement, professional, working class, religious, secular, chanting, "We are Egypt." It's breathtaking.
This is the people revolution here. That's it.
They want to be heard. And they want America to hear them too.
We have the right to live as you live, in freedom, in dignity, in a development country. We have a history, a 7 years, thousands years of history.
Suddenly, they were on the move, surging toward the parliament. This was a first, the revolution at the gates of power.
We need freedom, freedom, freedom.
The powers that be looked on nervously. Stunned soldiers stood guard, and the crowd would not be denied. Look what happened to our ABC colleague, producer Andrew Morse.
We're here in front of the Egyptian Parliament building where the crowds have been building for about the past hour or so. What started as a small impromptu protest has grown to about 1,000 people, and it's getting busier and more intense as we go. The crowds have been peaceful, and make no mistake, they're cheering for Mubarak to go, and they're cheering for their freedom.
Inside, the old elite was scrambling to write a new constitution. So many Egyptians have stopped listening, or rather they're listening to their own leaders. Like Wael Honim, the 30-year-old Google executive who was a key online organizer of the protests and was jailed for 10 days by the government. After his release yesterday, Honim broke down on Egyptian television as a host read the names of the dead from the square. It was this moment, many said, that fueled and inspired the new wave of protest we saw cresting today. Then he was in the square declaring, "We will not abandon our demand," and that is the departure of the regime. But Egypt is much more than just that square. It's 80 million people, and they need to work and eat.
This is one of the real impacts the protests have had. I'm visiting the pyramids virtually alone. They're closed. Normally there'd be thousands of people here pouring their money into the Egyptian economy, and now all of that is at risk.
Policemen on camelback patrol the deserted grounds now, and there are tanks instead of tour buses here.
All the people who live around here, they depend on the life of tourism. If there is no tourism, there is no food for the people.
Zahi Hawass is the Minister of Antiquities, a man who has worked around the pyramids his whole life.
We hope that the Sphinx will smile again. If the Sphinx will smile again, it means that tourists will come back.
These old stones, these majestic, mysterious monuments are among the great treasures of the world. But right now, it's another of humanity's ancient treasures that the Egyptians are reaching for and grasping: freedom.
How long can Hosni Mubarak hold out? How long can the democratic ecstasy of this protest movement last? How long can Egypt endure the tension and the uncertainty and the economic toll that this is all taking? Well, it's a revolution. You can't predict it, but you can say that there's much more of a sense of possibility and promise in the air than of danger and violence. It's really a privilege to witness it.